Okay, we're back, you guys, for the Board of Police Commissioners meeting. What an ordeal. I will make a community tab, a place where we can complain about them skipping us, because that is definitely a violation of the law. Waiting to see if, as soon as they get this, I'm going to raise my hand very quickly. Good morning, Jeannie. This is round 2. Crazy morning already. Hey, Corn Freak. Yeah, did you see they skipped me again on the freaking Chicago meeting? Good God. They're horrible. And they even, the secretary goes, there's somebody on Zoom, and the guy just went right by it. So they knew I was on. Morning, Scooter Mom. Yeah, pretty freaking unreal anyways. Yeah, I know. I don't know how they get away with that. I mean, if I was the clerk, I would have went over and said, no, this needs to happen. I'll find out who the clerk is and email her and try and get it in front of the the elder people. Let me see let's see if Henry is gonna video it. Is he on yet? Nope. Nobody. Go lay down. I would rather stream it from Henri or Audit. But he's not on yet either. Let's see, is Audit on yet? I know she's on the train. Nope, she's not on yet either. Golly, I'm just an early bird, I guess, this morning, right? Let me see. Let's try Henry again. I can't believe they're not on because he's normally like right on, waiting. And I know they didn't cancel it. I've got it on my Zoom too, just in case. hooked up with a different email address. I agree, Scooter Mom, there should be repercussions for that. Well, one, it's against the law because they hadn't filled their 30 minutes yet. So problem is when you call the boards and commissions office, the city clerk's office, to do anything, all they do is schedule the Zooms. They don't have anything to do with the Zooms. It's the councils themselves and committees themselves. So I've already run into that problem trying to figure that out. But that's ridiculous. Where are you driving to, Jeannie? Oh, never mind. Don't text. Don't type and drive at the same time. Hey, sis. Glad you're back. We're waiting on the Board of Police Commissioners meeting. Sometimes I get called on this, sometimes I don't. It depends because they only take 45 minutes worth of public comment and they flip back and forth between people that are there and people that are online. And it's random. So sometimes you get called, sometimes you don't, but I'm waiting for it to pop up. So that way I can raise my hand real quick to hopefully be one of the first. Basically need a whole frickin' degree in how to do public comment and how to figure out what to do for public comment on each of these damn platforms. Amy, are you on yet? Are you going to call in? Chicago went against the law. Chicago is going to get an earful. They broke the law. I can email my comment in, but it's not the same as when you say it. Ah, you will do well, Amy. I know you will. King douchebags. That's for sure. Oh, excuse me. Yawn, yawn. You know, and it never fails when you have something important you really want to say, and sometimes that's really the only way. But I'll find out I'll type out who's on that committee and send them individual notes. Yeah, I agree. I called them commies too. You guys probably didn't hear me. They were too loud. You couldn't hear me over the chatter. I said a few more words than commies too. Okay, LA, get your shit together. That's audit. Okay, Laura, I will definitely do that. Or I'll just call you sis. Oh, let's see. Is Henri on yet? Unless he gets kicked out. That's the only time I don't like it. When he gets kicked out, then I have to figure out how to live. Yep, he's on. Let's see. We'll go back to Zoom for a minute. Yeah, he's on. I'm going to try and go use his live so that way we can see it and hear it.
Recording in progress. He's still not on, so looks like it's a good thing I stayed on my
Good morning, Commissioners, Chief Choi, Madam Secretary, Acting Inspector General Florence Yu, Mr. City Attorney Carlos De La Guerra, and members of the public Today is Tuesday, October 15, 2024. It is 9:30 a.m. This is a regular meeting of the Los Angeles Board of Police Commissioners. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Good morning. Please let the record reflect Commissioners Suthers, Shields, and Garcia are present, and we have a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you. We welcome everyone attending this morning. Police Commission is committed to ensuring equal access to its meetings. It is requested that individuals who require the services of a translator contact the board secretary no later than the day preceding the meeting. Whenever possible, a translator will be provided. Sign language interpreters, assistive listening devices, or other auxiliary aids and/or services may be provided upon request. To ensure availability, you are advised to make your request at least 72 hours prior to the meeting you wish to attend. All public comment will be heard during item number 2 on the agenda. We will dedicate a total of 45 minutes to public comment. Members of the public will have 1 minute per agenda item for a maximum of 2 minutes total. At the request of the speaker will be given 1 additional minute for general public comment for a maximum of 3 minutes total. The order of the speakers will be a speaker in this room will go first, then we will take a speaker watching today's meeting on Zoom. We will alternate between speakers in the room and Zoom for a total of 45 minutes. Members of the public who participate in public comment are reminded that they can speak to any item on the agenda or a matter within the jurisdiction of the Board of Police Commissioners. Public comment is your opportunity to address the board, so you're free to express your opinion on matters before the board and to generally express when you disagree with other opinions expressed. However, directing your comments to other individuals who have spoken or attacking others who have expressed their opinion shall be deemed off topic and your public comment period will be concluded. Members of the public, if you choose to participate in the public comment portion of the agenda, you can participate in this meeting in a number of ways outlined on the agenda. A message for those attending the meeting in person. These meetings are regular meetings between the board, the department, and key stakeholders. Meetings of the Board of Police Commissioners are open to the public. The state's Ralph M. Brown Act affords the public the opportunity to be present at the meetings, hear the presentations and dialogue in real time, and provide feedback via the public comment period. During these meetings, there's a need for the board to carry out public business expeditiously without delays or disruptions. Members of the audience shall not engage in any conduct which causes an actual disruption of the meeting. Those attending in person, you are reminded that disruptive behavior will be cause for removal. If you disrupt this meeting, you will be provided with only 1 warning to cease disruptive behavior. If you fail to cease such behavior, you will be removed from the meeting. All attendees must be seated. Failure to follow this rule will result in a warning and/or removal from the meeting. At this time, we'll move to item number 1, the report of the Chief of Police, Chief Choi.
Thank you, and good morning, President Suthers, Vice President Shields, Commissioner Garcia, Acting Inspector General Yu, City Attorney De La Guerre, and Executive Director Mr. Sibley. I'll start my comments just by saying that in the past week, we've had no officer-involved shootings and no categorical uses of force. Year to date, we've had a total of 23 18 shootings in comparison to the same time last year where we had 28 18 shootings. That's a decrease of 17.9%. Then moving on, I'd like to share some positive examples, some police work from last week. So on October 9th at approximately 5:10 hours, units from Hollenbeck Patrol Division responded to an open 911 call. It was in the area of Lorena Street and 4th Street. Upon their arrival, officers observed a large structure fire and requested a backup. As they approached the scene, they heard cries for help coming from inside the burning building. Acting quickly, they breached a window and rescued an unconscious female, carrying her to safety. Additional LAPD units arrived and coordinated evacuations and traffic control to assist the fire department while they extinguished the fire. No other officers or firefighters were injured during this incident. The fire department battalion chief later commended the initial responding officers for the quick actions, acknowledging that their efforts contributed to the saving of an unconscious female's life. And while we often find ourselves witnessing the worst situations, it's important to recognize the best of what our officers do each and every day. And I'm proud of all the officers that responded and worked this incident. We also had an incident regarding cargo theft. On October 8th, detectives from our cargo theft unit received information from Nike security representatives about stolen Nike products taken from a train container. By working with Nike security and using a variety of investigative tools, detectives were able to identify a possible location where the property was being stored. which was in the LA area. Detectives responded and spoke to local business owners in that area. They reviewed security footage and determined that the stolen property was still likely in one of the businesses in that area. A search warrant was obtained, and during the surveillance of the location, suspects were seen loading a truck with the possible stolen merchandise. Ultimately, 5 suspects were detained. 1 was arrested for receiving stolen property. Detectives seized over $400,000 worth of unreleased Nike shoes and $71,000 worth of laptops and Bluetooth speakers. And on October 10th, charges were filed against the suspects, which included receiving stolen property and enhancements for prior convictions of similar conduct. Our officers in the cargo theft unit continue to work hard to tackle cargo theft and protect both businesses and residents. I'm incredibly proud of the work that they do. This recent investigation is just one example of the unique capabilities that we have within the Los Angeles Police Department, especially in specialized units like our cargo theft unit. Moving on to crime. So again, we're presenting offense-based crime numbers except for our homicides and victim shots, which are hand counted in year-to-date numbers. So for the 4-week period ending October 12th compared to the prior 4-week period, combined persons and property crimes are down 3.6% or minus 344 victims. Person crimes are up 1.9% or plus 41 victims, and property crimes are down 5.2% or minus 385 victims. Compared to 2023, the city has seen a year-to-date decrease in our homicides by 11.5% or minus 30. We continue to trend in the right direction, reducing the number of homicides in the city. And comparing those numbers to year-to-date numbers to 2022, we've seen a decrease of 29.4% or minus 96 homicides. And then gang-related homicides also continue to trend down. We're at a minus 35.2% year-to-date compared to 2023, and we're down 54.4% compared to 2022. Year-to-date citywide victims shot is down 152 victims or minus 15.8% compared to 2023, and down 305 or minus 27.4% compared to 2022. And then for aggravated assaults for the past 4 weeks, aggravated assaults are up 1.5% or plus 20 compared to the prior 4 weeks. Where we're seeing this increase is in 77th Street area, where they have a 4-week increase of 23% or plus 29 aggravated assaults. And then for our robberies for the past 4 weeks, robberies are up 6.7% or plus 44 compared to the prior 4 weeks. Again, robberies, the area with our significant drivers and robberies is Southeast area. We've seen in the past 4 weeks a 28.8% increase or plus 15 robberies. And again, these robberies are predominantly occurring in open areas, public streets and parks, with the second most common occurrence being in small businesses, stores, mini marts, those sorts. 42% of all of our robberies are still strong arm, meaning physical force, no weapon used. And then 22% of our robberies are armed robberies with firearms. And we continue to focus on trying to enforce any crime involving a firearm. Our burglaries, for the past 4 weeks, our burglaries are up 2.9% or plus 29. And then breaking that down into commercial and residential burglaries, our commercial burglaries are up 12.8% or plus 46 citywide for the last 4 weeks. But our residential burglaries are down 3.2% or minus 19 compared to the prior 4 weeks. And then moving on to motor vehicle theft. For the past 4 weeks, motor vehicle thefts are down 2.8% or minus 53 compared to the prior 4 weeks. Some areas where we're still being challenged in our motor vehicle thefts are Southwest area and Rampart area. Southwest shows a 22.9% increase or plus 27, and Rampart shows a 24.4% increase or plus 20 motor vehicle thefts. And the most common vehicles being stolen are still the Kias, Chevys, and the Hyundais. Then our personnel strength for sworn personnel as of October 14th is 8,795. Civilian personnel is at 2623, and our reserve officers are at 378. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Chief. And again, I'd like to commend the officers who responded to the fire. It's just another example of the brave acts that they engage in each week, and we'll certainly appreciate their efforts and their courage in doing so on this occasion.
Thank you.
With that, I'm going to defer to Vice President Shields for any comments or questions regarding your report.
Thank you, Chief, for the report. And I didn't have many questions for the prepared remarks that you had. I had one question about there were news alerts indicating yesterday that a motorcycle officer was struck by a vehicle. Is the officer okay? And can you provide any input on that?
Yes, I can. I am aware of it. I do have all the details, but I don't want to read all the confidential stuff.
And understand if this is it's an ongoing investigation, you don't have to get into that. But I just wanted to know: did this officer survive? Expected to recover?
Okay, involved a express shuttle bus regarding the Dodgers game, but the specific injuries and things like that, and he is in stable condition, so he's going to be okay. But it was a motor officer that was assigned to the Dodgers game.
Thank you. And since you mentioned the Dodgers, how has have there been any incidents relating to the games, or have they been going smoothly here in Los Angeles?
I'm very happy to say that there's been very few incidents. There have been over the divisional series and now the conference. There's been, I think, just a couple arrests, alcohol related, but it has by and large been a very peaceful, safe event for all the fans and the officers, and I'm happy and encouraged by that.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Commissioner Garcia.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Kalanje? Okay. We'll now move on to item number 2, public comment period. Madam Secretary, please call our first speaker.
Our first speaker is R. Mather.
Good morning, officers. I am very much happy to see you guys because you are the pride of the country and the pride of the city. The reason I have come here because I have bought my information that I was badly beaten in a hospital premises at the direction of the doctor. It so happened I was admitted, I was burned in my house. I was admitted there, and for 2 weeks they took some action, but thereafter they didn't know any action. So I wanted to go back home, and I repeatedly requested them to send me home, but they said yes. So 3.5 months gone, I was lying there. The food was very bad. I was doing nothing. So I wrote them a letter that I'm leaving by 1st of August. When I dressed up and about to go, and they told me, no, we have to give you blood because they lost a lot of blood at the time of operation. I waited 2 hours. Then again, they told me we have to give you blood. In the process, what happened? My ride had gone back home. It was the access which was supposed to take me home. And then when I dressed up and asked them to go get me direction, instead of giving me direction, they collected about 15 people and they all jumped on me and beaten me like a mercilessly. And I was not able to walk, and my heart and lungs were damaged. And I can show you, they have put up a patch on my heart that your heart can stop anytime. I have come to request you guys that I should be given a justice by you guys because you are the pride of the country and pride of the city. Give me a justice that the hospital has beaten me mercilessly for no reason, and then ultimately they shifted me. They like a goat you kill. They tied my hands and legs for 4 hours and left me in the room till the ambulance came and relieved me from there. So my humble request to all of you guys that such an incident has happened in LSE USC Medical Center, in the burn center, and they beaten me mercilessly, and I'm always very much thankful to you guys, and I want a justice to be given to me, and that's the reason I've approached you guys, because you have authority and you can investigate the whole thing, and I'm very much thankful to you for the actions you are doing in the city and that maintaining the law and order.
Sir, thank you. We have an officer that's behind you, and he's going to take your information.
Thank you very much, sir. God bless you all.
Next, we have Mona M.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hi, yes. What items would you like to speak on?
All items, please.
Okay, 3 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. I guess you probably are wondering why I'm here every week without fail, even though sometimes I don't get called on to speak. In March, there was an incident. There was a help sign that was put up in the window of the blue building of Scientology. Officers were called, and when they got there, they checked with security and then just left. They didn't even investigate the sign. I'm sure the person that put it up there was punished. After that incident, the planners were placed out on the sidewalks in the easement to stop demonstrators. The street was closed off to further deny all of us about our First Amendment rights. People are not there protesting the religion, but the abuse and human trafficking within the so-called religion. A few weeks ago, there was a gentleman that was trafficked here from another state. Scientology put him out on the street with $12 left to his name and no way to get back to where he had started from. Not even a room for the night. Why? Because they found out he was gay. 2 nights ago, I was watching the demonstrators down at the Blue Building having a barbecue, feeding the unhoused, when I saw a person take a child, maybe 9 or 10 years old, into the building. And I was screaming at the TV, kids cannot consent. Why didn't I call the police? Because to the outside world or even the police, it looks like a simple act. But when you know the atrocities of what happens behind those blue walls, it is an utter gut punch. I want to remind you of your duties to protect and serve the children of Los Angeles. And I only bring up the planners because they are symbols of the overall problems. The planners, which are not permitted per your city codes and are a violation of the ADA, are just a symbol of the main problem. I'm asking you, Chief, the new chief, and all of the members, all the commission members, to look at what is going on behind those blue walls and make reparations to your city codes and for the children. Thank you, and I yield back my time.
The next speaker, please, Hassan Tran.
Good morning, everybody. My name Hassan Tran. Please help me put my name in U.S. government system, telling them I'm here today. I am a person very important to all American people and all police department all around USA, and all USA veteran and all U.S. military. I am with Los Angeles Police Department fighting to protect all of us right and safety. Thank you.
Next, we have AG Bonta.
Yes, good morning. Can you hear me?
Good morning. Yes. What items would you like to speak on?
All items, please.
Okay, 3 minutes.
Yeah, so this is yet again the billionth time I've called in, and I just want to say directly to Temporary Chief Choi and the new chief, all right? You have 2 known child sex predators that are both Scientologists, and your division let them get away. Number 1, Wendell, in May of 2024, this year, Northeast Division officers responded to a man exposing his genitals, masturbating, and defecating on the public sidewalk in broad daylight. The officer was shown this video of this guy, Wendell, who was a Scientologist, black man, about 5'10", doing this, and said there's nothing wrong. Number 2, Anthony D'Amato Jr., yet another child sex predator who is also a Scientologist, literally continues to sexually stalk and harass a minor boy and his mother, threatening to rape them every single fucking day, and you guys do nothing. Why is it that I have to go to EA Electronic Arts to get his fucking IP and all of his other current addresses where you guys can't do your fucking job to track down and issue a arrest warrant. He's violating his clutch restraining order and you're letting a fucking child sex predator run around. Is it because he's a Scientologist? Because there's a clear pattern of behavior here. He's not the only one. You have Wendell and you have Anthony D'Amato Jr., also known by his street name as ZDT. Why is it that I have to do your fucking job for you? Go after the child sex predators. Los Angeles is literally known as the child sex predator capital of America. You have fucking Weinstein, Epstein, and now literally Leah Safian, another known Epstein family lawyer, stalking and harassing Scientology protesters. What the fuck is wrong with you guys? Go after the real criminals, the child sex predators, not the fucking Scientology critics. This is absolutely disgusting. Your city is literally child sex predator capital of the world. That is what LA is known for, and it's thanks to the LAPD. That's who protect and serve means, is to protect and serve the fucking chomos. I have both of their addresses. I know exactly where they are. Why aren't you fucking issuing an arrest warrant? This is disgusting. What will it take? Huh? What if it was your child being sexually stalked and harassed? Or your significant other being sexually stalked and harassed and being issued with threats of rape every single fucking day and having SWAT calls placed on you? It's absolutely fucking disgusting. I can't stand the sight of you guys, but I come here every day because you need to fucking hear, all right? You need to hear this shit. I'm here to fucking shame you each and every goddamn time you have this meeting. This is disgusting. This is what you guys do for your $200,000 a year salaries. You're using the taxpayer money to fucking protect chomos. It's absolutely revolting. I am sickened by you. And I'll soon be in LA in person to tell you this shit as well, to your fucking face. I'm gonna look you straight in the eye. And I want you to look right back at me so you can fucking look at the public and say, I protect and serve chomos. That's exactly what you're fucking doing. Absolutely disgusting. 2 child sex predators.
The next speaker, please. Audit LA.
Good morning. I do want to thank the officers that ran into a burning building to save people. That's great. And to any officer that does honor their oath to protect and to serve. I'm not here about them though, although I do thank them. I'm here about an officer whose name is Roland, badge serial number 41378. And I'm here to publicly complain against him to the commission, to LAPD, and to the Inspector General's office. I hope the actual victim of this officer files a complaint and a lawsuit because what happened a couple of days ago, he was protesting Scientology. Again, it's become well known that they traffic people, that there's been a lot of child abuse victims that survived this, that there's still stuff going on that you guys are not handling. And there's been enough complaints about the police officers who are not handling it right. You guys are not training them. They are trying, Scientology is getting endless things to get the street closed, but it's not closed to pedestrians. It's not closed to protesters. It's closed to cars. And your officers are not trained when Scientology calls and say there's a man like assaulting people. They come, code 3, whatever, enraged or on alert. And it's a bogus crime. It's just somebody saying, hey, you guys deserve better than $47 a week. And this officer in particular, came like really very aggressive, no de-escalation skills, which is another thing you're supposed to be teaching them. And he, was, going at saying that you have to go, you're going to be arrested, this is private, and it's not. It is absolutely public, that is for sure. They need to know this going in there, that it's a lie from Scientology. And so then, the protester did, he said, I think he called him a pig or whatever, because he was coming at him aggressively. And I honestly don't like that term because don't take this the wrong way. I love pigs and I don't like, I don't want a comparison between a cute little pig and a bad cop. And I'm not saying all cops are bad. I'm not one of those people. But this officer got so enraged, he was pulling out his billy club like he was going to go beat this guy for just calling him a pig. I bet if I called everyone in here a pig, I bet you every last one of these officers are just going to not even bat an eye. This is not going to even faze them because they've been trained. Most of them, I'm going to say, have been trained like that. They know this is part of that. There's going to be protesters. There's going to be dissent. There's going to be a lot of people that don't like you. And they get it, they're prepared. So I'm not painting everyone with that brush. But this officer is unhinged. This officer needs to be taken off the street immediately. Because honestly, if I see him in the street, he's scared of me. Because he was ready to arrest this guy for what? For nothing. He did nothing wrong. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me, ma'am. There's a gentleman over there who'll take your complaint.
Thank you. Thank you. Which one?
Sergeant, if you could.
The man in the gray suit. Thank you.
Next, we have Betty Lay.
Good morning.
Good morning. What items would you like to
Go
speak on?
it.
I'd like to speak on to the chief and agenda items, public comment.
Okay, 3 minutes.
Okay. First off, I'm hoping that the interim chief will have enough respect to answer my email. You still have the opportunity to let the Board of Rights know that you want them to relook at the investigation, and you can ask for an internal review and recommend that the captain and lieutenant in question is not terminated. You know what I'm talking about. I also support all the donation agenda items, and in public comment, I'm hoping that City Council hurries up and approves Jim as our chief and get his swearing in ceremony going so that we can all work with him. I'm very, very delighted that he was chosen. Thank you, Mayor Bass. That was great. And with that, I'm going to yield the rest of my time.
The next speaker, please, Hamid Khan.
I was just trying to catch a few things because I'm looking at this consent agenda item, and the first A says, relative to grant application and award for the demonstration program on trauma-informed, victim-centered training for law enforcement on domestic violence, dating violence, yada, yada, yada. And then just today, the LAPD's headline says, LAPD is toxic toward women, a whistleblower lawsuit claims. So how often do you want to see that? How often does this keep on coming up, that how this department is so toxic towards women? I mean, it's just a toxic institution. Let's just kind of put it in that context. And, we have posted a whole timeline on our website, stoplapdspying.org, that covers years and years of LAPD's domestic violence, sexual assault, child sexual abuse, where they were having orgies with 16-year-old cadets when they would take them camping and things like that. So this is something that is not surprising, but it's also, it's pathetic that with all the money that it keeps on getting, which again then brings me that all the grants that we have seen around the use of force, all the language we've seen around de-escalation, all the language that we have seen around shootings of people when LAPD remains one of the most murderous police departments. And I think that's what we keep on bringing week after week after week to the community and folks around here as well, that this is a sick place. This is a sick place. This is a toxic institution, and where, it's given and rebranded different names. It's called data-driven policing. It's called, data-informed, community-focused policing. It's called community policing. It's called proactive policing. It's called predictive policing. It's called precision policing, like the whole menu of language, but the outcomes remain the same. Because you cannot change. You cannot change institutional prerogatives. You cannot change. And lastly, I want to bring is that, there's something about behavior as well. So let's talk about behavioral surveillance. Rasha Shield, as you're a prosecutor as well, observed behavior reasonably indicative of pre-operational planning. The fuck is that supposed to mean? Do you know what I'm talking about? That's how suspicious activity is defined. Observed behavior reasonably indicative of pre-operational planning. That I'm observing your behavior that reasonably indicates to me that you're thinking of doing something wrong. This is how policing is taking place. That's why we keep coming here week after week to expose the complete fraud, expose the complete fallacy, and expose the complete violence that is so entrenched within this system. And you all are a complete failure as that body to oversee.
Next, I have
Thank you.
Steve Riley.
Buongiorno a tutti.
Hi, what items would you like to speak on?
All items, please.
Okay, 3 minutes.
That was good morning all in Italian. October is Italian Heritage Month. Yesterday was Columbus Day. Happy Columbus Day. Celebrating all things Italian and Italian heritage. There is an Italian American Police Officers Association. All communities should be recognized for the contributions they've made to our great country. We are all here communicating in the language English. Most of our ancestors, looking at the panel there and speaking for myself, did not speak English, but it's our common unifying language. And so we have to work together. I come here week after week to try to work with you on community policing to create a safer Los Angeles. It's not a partisan political issue, although some people may bring ideology to it. Today, I'm going to quote Heraclitus, the Greek philosopher. Everything changes and nothing remains still, and you cannot step twice into the same stream. There is nothing permanent except change. Things will change in the LAPD. They have changed. They continue to change. We have a new chief coming on board, Chief Jim McDonnell, who we are excited to work with to bring us to a new level of community policing. One of the major issues I've been talking about is communication. We have a lack of communication between the police department and the public in many ways. That needs to be rectified. Now, I only get 3 minutes. I'm at 1 minute, 30 seconds now. I would like to pass on some ideas. One, Prop 36, yes. Why am I saying that? Because we have a problem with theft. When Chief Choi, who gave a very good report, and thank you to those hero officers, officers commit heroic acts on a daily basis. We just don't normally hear about them. But the theft issue, when you say that property crime is down, I know that that's a formula you're using, and maybe for political reasons, you want to give the impression that certain crimes are going down. Theft is going way up. Just talk to people, security officers, people working at Macy's at 7th Street in downtown Los Angeles. They're going to be closing in January. Target, 7th and Figueroa, they're closing. Why? Because the theft is through the roof. And that was caused by Prop 47, who Kamala Harris misnamed Safe Neighborhoods and Schools Act. The only thing it did was make theft a very prevalent. Now, two things. One, Christopher Columbus. Is Christopher Columbus a great American hero? By Dr. Taylor Marshall, Jack Prosebiec. Look it up. We need to have good education. Another video that you can watch by Harmeet Dillon, the shocking origin story of Kamala Harris and all the crimes she committed. Harmeet Dillon. Please look up that information. God bless the LAPD. Thank you, good officers.
The next speaker, Matthias Kadane.
My name is Matthias Kidane with the Stop LAPD Spying Coalition. I'm going to continue on Hamid's point about the donation for law enforcement behavioral health response program. And this seems to be a Department of Justice grant program that's being matched by the city. And on its face, it's kind of laughable that the LAPD would address behavioral health or mental health. The Washington Post in this year released a report that showed that in 2 years of LAPD shootings, a third of those were behavioral health or mental health instances. The LAPD historically responds to mental health crises through violence. That's not something that can be trained out. But, you know, we often talk about reforms of any sort, trainings, any kind of sophistication as a means of sanitizing racist violence in a lot of ways. And behavioral health, mental health has been used in just that way. in another kind of federal grant. We've talked about this before, but through the Department of Homeland Security's Countering Violent Extremism framework. And I see Errol Southers rolling his eyes because this is what he's made his career off of, right? The whole notion of radicalization theory that criminalize Muslim communities, Black communities. Errol Southers' own framework really co-opted this and, even sounds like a similar name. It's homegrown violent extremism, HVE. Now, a lot of this has been delegitimized. It's focused on Muslim communities. Errol Southers' own work focused on Black Muslim youth, right, primarily. And in its kind of demonization by the community, righteous demonization, calling out just how explicitly racist it is, LAPD's PATH program, which is based on this framework, would literally call out political affiliations, religious institutions, things that are proxies for race or religion, right? What we saw was the work of academics like Dr. David Eisenman at UCLA and Stephen Wine at University Illinois in Champaign-Urbana to really pivot from this focus around terrorism and race really to mental health and public health, implement those frameworks. And so now risk factors are, suicidal ideation, struggling with gender identity, depression, and that's what the LAPD is using to criminalize youth. Again, any type of behavioral surveillance, behavioral monitoring for the LAPD is just a proxy for racial bias. That's always what it's going to be. And so to see this funding is particularly gross. And last thing I kind of want to end on is any notion of addressing behavioral health or mental health or even domestic violence or sexual assault, as in the other kind of agenda item on here, requires care. That's not what the LAPD is for. And I actually want to uplift an interaction I had walking in here to kind of make that point even further, where, we walk in, we have to put our stuff in a conveyor belt, we have to walk through a metal detector. I did just that today, like I do every other day, kind of in a hurry to get over here. And in placing my belongings in the little wooden box and walking through the little metal detector, an officer, Cliff Herrera out front, said, "I have to place the wooden box on the conveyor belt." I'm in a hurry to get in here. I put it on the conveyor belt because I'm trying to get inside. But I ask, I'm invested in the policies of LAPD. And
Thank you. Madam Secretary, please call the next speaker.
Next, we have Carolina Goodman.
Your public comment has ended, sir. Please step away from the podium. Your public comment has ended. Please step away from the podium. This is your first warning and only warning that you are disrupting the meeting.
Good morning, commissioners. Can you hear me?
Good morning. What items would you like to speak on?
I'm going to be speaking on item 4B.
Okay, 1 minute.
Carolina Goodman, League of Women Voters of Greater Los Angeles. Please review the longer written comment which we submitted yesterday about AB 481's annual report. The report is over 100-page long, and it's unreasonable to expect the public to be able to review it in a conscientious manner in the few days since it was posted. It's our hope that you would defer making recommendations to the City Council till after the required community meeting, where people have the opportunity to discuss the report and ask questions. One thing I'd like to highlight is the fact that LAPD's crowd control policy, Addenda 11, was last revised in 2021. However, in 2022, California AB 48 reformed state law to significantly reduce circumstances for lawful use of less lethal projectiles and chemical agents for crowd control. These restrictions must be incorporated into LAPD policy. Thank you.
The next speaker, Jonathan Foster.
Hello, Jonathan Foster. On consent 3K on horses, George Washington had a high voice, which is why the horses liked him so much. Well, anyways, so I wanted to talk about the flamboyant use of rifles that I spoke about with Johnson. And I wanted to say this, and I've said this before, that Jones had a heart of gold. And reviewing all this stuff, Jones was told the wrong thing. The full perspective has changed my stance. There was a call from an employee that the guy hitting the lady had a gun, which was false. And I suggested that she needed to be arrested. She gave a false police report, and look what happened. Somebody else that died that didn't need to be, killed. So this is again from June 19th, 2018. Words, tiny percentage of citizen officer contact. Another one, how infrequent? And that there were 23 of this infrequent tiny percentages, there was 23% of the suspects fired at officers.
Categorical use of force incidents and officer-involved shootings in particular make up a tiny, tiny percentage of citizen-officer contacts. The illustration on page 56 and 57 really do a good job of illustrating just how infrequent these events are. You see that in most of these situations, the vast majority of these incidents, these situations, the officers were able to resolve these in a nonviolent way. The other thing I think that is important to remember is that in almost a quarter, 23% of the officer-involved shootings, the suspect fired at the officers or other individuals during the incident. So we can't lose sight about how dangerous police work is, and that the officers, of course, have a right to defend their own lives and an obligation to defend the lives of others. And that the officers, of course, have a right to defend their own lives.
So I agree with all that, but when we look at things like you're having a hard time hiring, or really that not a single command staff is eligible to be police, one of the things, they won't tell who sent the George Floyd Valentine around. How come? How come, Choi? How come we don't know about that? 3 years later, we haven't been told who sent the joy. Do you like black people? I mean, don't you think they have a good reason to not like this effing thing? They sent a George Floyd Valentine. I know he's probably not the most rosy guy. This is why you're having problems, right? See, what I said about stuff in 2018, 2019, everyone's gone except for 3 people and several officers here. But the people that heard what I said, they didn't act on what I said, yet they were here, right? So one of the things I've talked about is the net guns. So if you shot somebody with a net gun, maybe they might break an elbow or a wrist or something, but they'd still be alive. I've suggested body armor or net guns. How about a sleep log? Use of the shields, things that you aren't doing. Why? You want to hire some people? Do what I suggested.
The next speaker is Jamie Cusick.
Okay, I also want to address this first agenda item that Hamid and Matios have been speaking about, this 500K grant. We know, first of all, that like training of any kind doesn't work. It doesn't work in the way that you say it's going to work. It's not going to make these officers like better equipped to deal with victims of domestic violence. And at the same time, like it kind of does work in that the fact that you've had an officer go through this training will retroactively validate any actions that they might take in any situation. And so it enables you to kind of defend yourselves in public opinion. And it also enables you to continue to ask for more money and more money week after week for LAPD. The next thing I kind of wanted to touch on is just kind of the word or the phrase domestic violence, as if it's somehow fundamentally different or less significant than other kinds of like normal violence. Most harm that women experience occurs within their homes and is perpetrated by family members and partners. So this kind of qualifier of domestic violence is already kind of suspicious, to be honest. And I think the exact same thing can be said about state violence. When we talk about state violence, it's somehow seen as being special or rare or less significant than other kinds of violence. When in fact, like almost all violence, like the fact that America is structured the way that it is, with unhoused people dying in the street every day, and unbelievable wealth inequality being allowed to exist, that's the state at work, at all times around the clock. And I think like the kind of, as Hamid touched on as well, like there are kind of you can't find another body in LA that is guilty of more so-called domestic violence than LAPD. And this is at the core of, it's at the root of what this department is. these officers think that they are Batman. You know, they think that they're infallible. They see that they see themselves as these like big, strong men who are supposed to, you know, protect women. And again, that kind of, because that's the mindset, it kind of retroactively justifies any way that they might actually kind of treat women in real life.
Thank you. Thank you. Your public comment has ended. Please step away from the podium.
The next speaker, Jason Reedy.
So it took the LAPD 7 days to name their latest shooters, and we found out that pig Thor Abiva shot at Daryl Morgan on October 3rd, 3 years and a day after he shot Grisha Alvadarian. Yes, Papa. In Hollywood. Now, the LAPD won't tell you this information, but you can always count on the community too. Now, what you didn't mention was 17 piglets in your latest graduating class compared to the 60 pigs you aspire for in each class. These are abysmal numbers, which we are all happy to hear. Now, the LAPD hasn't seen this low of a number in almost 10 years. When their November 2014 class graduated 16 pigs, $88,000 starting pay, $15K signing bonus, $24K housing subsidy, and somehow you still can't recruit. Stacy Spell, 29-year veteran of the LAPD, was recently spotted working at Occidental College harassing students. Now, why did he leave the LAPD? Was it because he was having an affair with one of the pigs he was tasked with overseeing? Was it because he was committing fraud while out on disability leave? Do tell. So I read an LA Times article yesterday that reported that since 2019, the city of Los Angeles has paid out a minimum of $11 million in damages for cases of discrimination, retaliation, and other workplace strife based on gender brought by LAPD pigs. This doesn't include the pending cases from that time, and at least $12 million in damages awarded by juries to women at the LAPD that the city is appealing after having been defeated in court. Now, we know this department loves losing appeals. Now, another part I wanted to highlight was the several claims of discrimination that have gone unreported, including a sergeant who says she was denied a transfer in direct retaliation for cooperating with an IA investigation into AirTag Al Labrada. Now, we've seen you proudly display Labrada's picture on a banner in September 2023, so this all tracks. Of course, Fabian, that's your good friend. Now, what did this report reveal? Well, you had Christopher Martin, someone who has been a media spokesperson for the LAPD, comparing female detectives to sex workers. Your favorite deputy chief, Mark Rana, was named in a whistleblower lawsuit too. And you have women in your department detailing the abuse that they had to put up with, including the division that you mentioned earlier, Hollenbeck, where several sworn and civilian employees allegedly have faced retaliation for reporting misconduct. Now, if this is how you treat your own who report misconduct, why are you so quick to dismiss those of us who are treated as such, who expose the LAPD's harm and misconduct? Now, when Klotz was ignored by various LAPD pigs, she turned to the police commission, who left her on red. You guys didn't have nothing to say to her, right? You can't even respond to your own pigs. And lastly, I want to touch on this report by Florence that exposed LAPD in 2024 is still using paper records to track their trainee pigs and trainees. We know this isn't on accident. It's part of the way you maintain so much of the control of the info that flows out of this department. And the fact that LAPD, quote unquote, couldn't figure out with certainty who all the field training officers were is another instance of that. You boast about training, but the OIG report shows that rookie pigs are routinely told to forget everything you learned in the academy. Now, what else was detailed in this OIG report? Well, the hazing that pigs encounter, including how some are forbidden from speaking unless spoken to. You had one.
Thank you. Thank you. Your public comment has terminated. Step away from the podium. Step away from the podium. You are disrupting the meeting. Please stop disrupting the meeting. It's your first and last warning that you are disrupting the meeting.
Can you tell me? Would anyone tell me?
You are disrupting the meeting. Step away from the podium. I'm ordering you out of the room. Leave the room.
That male detective was talking about in that story. Was it Pritchard? Pritchard? That's your name, right? Pritchard? who the male detective was sleeping with, he was posting about? What about the inappropriate email he sent to a female deputy attorney with Gaston? Anything about that? Nothing. That didn't make your report this morning, so I want to know when you're going to address that.
Somebody needs a Snickers bar.
Madam Secretary, please announce the next speaker.
The next speaker is Roy Gorman.
Good morning, panel. I just came here. I've been here before, and I asked for help. I went from the president, White House, to the secretary, to the assistant director of the police of the law department, and no one wouldn't help me. These policemen are now involved with the association and harassing me because I'm the gentleman that nominated our president down in Charleston, South Carolina for the Longshoremen Association. And you got that same problem coming up again on your hand. Now they have took my business. We cleared out all of the evil that was down there in Charleston, South Carolina Longshoremen Association. Now they took and disbanded, tore the whole organization apart. They have sold the Long Beach longshoremen to the Chinese. Who do I have to go to? Because they wouldn't let me in the J. Edgar Hoover building on 10th Street in D.C. I went to Locust and 6th Street Courthouse, and nobody can give me no kind of help, and I don't have no record, none whatsoever. Come up around Malcolm, come up around Dr. Adam Clayton Powell, and those people tell me with the days when you get to the point where you're going to see this system for what it is, you ain't going to like what you see. And I know a policeman in Charleston, South Carolina, never had to wear a gun, Walter Burke, and he could stop anything around Charleston. No one did no offense in the front of that man because he wore that badge for what it was. It was just like that general say. He don't give his oath to no president. He give it to the flag and to the people. And I hope that they took 3 buses right here in this Los Angeles and took my possession. I went to Venice Police Station. They made out a report. I waited for 2 weeks. They don't even have no kind of report on it. I still got my paper. I'm asking to stop these people. They even got people coming on the bus. They took all of my cars, closed my business. And what they done to the owner of that property, I know y'all know. They went all the way down in Mississippi and took his home down there, took all his property up here. What do I have to do to be able to live like a person? Ira Reiner gave me an award for being such an outstanding person and helping the young folks there on Western Avenue. What do I have to do to be left alone? They got all my property, my cars, my clothes, my import and everything.
Sir, thank you. This officer is going to help you.
It's the same man right here that handed me a card and never got in touch with me. I don't need no more help from you. I'm going back to business.
The next speaker is Raul Montez.
Sir, we have someone else who's going to help you at the back.
I sure appreciate it.
The man in the great suit.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Hello there. Dominic Choi, Chief of Police and Police Commission. Just want to read a quick quote by the late Attorney General Robert Francis Kennedy. He always highlighted the contributions made by the common man and woman to law enforcement. He said, "The glory of justice and the majesty of law are created not just by the Constitution, nor by the courts, nor by the officers of the law, nor by the lawyers, but by the men and women who constitute our society, who are the protectors of the law as they are themselves protected by the law." I am just disgusted at what happened on October 5th in the early morning hours, 3 a.m. This white suspect who lives with me named, I can't make out his last name. He's a boarder. He rents a room. And he's a friend of Sean, Evan Buer, who's trying to take possession of my landlady's, $1 million home, who's a Korean woman who doesn't speak very good English, but she's been, groomed. There's no doubt about it. Cases before, the district attorney, Gascon. And I'd like to see if he, will take advantage of the fact that he's running for reelection. He does some prosecutions here and get him, Sean Buer, and this suspect named, I believe it's Colin or Callan. I can't make out his last name, but he actually threatened my life, and he came up to my door and says, "If you open that door, I'm gonna fuck you up and I'm gonna kill you, man." And he had just gone into the kitchen and got a knife. Now, I deceived him by turning off the light, and he went in the backyard with his boyfriend and was out there hanging around. And then I went downstairs on Raphael Street, and I was waiting for him because I left the door unlocked. He went in there, and he was going to stab me in there. I knew he was going to do it. And he went in there because he ended up on the street with a knife in his hand. And I said, okay, let's see what he does. He's coming toward me, and he's an idiot was looking in the dark area. And then I'm going to tell you the truth, I had my machete ready for him, okay? But he only came up so far, and he went back in. The following is the most disgraceful, in all respect, Mr. Dominic Choi, Chief of Police. This is a disgrace. 6 officers showed up. They refused to arrest this guy. They went up to talk to him. He threatened me with a criminal threat. He came down knife wielding out of the kitchen. My landlady, the poor lady doesn't know what the hell's going on there. This guy's trying to steal her house. These are a couple of German Nazis that are trying to take this poor lady's house because she just was trying to enforce her house rules. Now, what they said, we are not going to arrest him, Raul. I said, why not? Just go back to your room. Fuck you. You don't tell me what to do. I want your supervisor. He says, I have no supervisor. The officers were JACAURS 454-443. Gonzalez, the idiot, 454-79. They refused to arrest him. He's there right now. And I've been ousted out of the house with a restraining order.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you very much.
Can someone take the complaint, please?
That will end the public comment period. We will now move to agenda item 3, consent agenda items. Sir, we don't have a comment card for you today. Hold on.
I don't have a card on you, sir, today.
Sir, we'll go ahead and step to the podium.
Hi, I'm Donald Harlan. Sorry, I'd like to speak on agenda item, start with 4G, the police schools. No, there shouldn't be any police schools. LAPD's had a lot of bad lessons where they were training people in forensic sciences, and they used it against us and made a big catastrophe or something. You know, police schools, no. I know there's a lot of training for LAPD. You guys teach a lot of people things, and people come from around the world that want to learn policing. But we don't want them setting up magnate schools, and we don't want any alternate justice systems. I don't want too many LAPD training facilities. They seem to be, they'll generate their own problems. That's not a way to find more work for yourself by generating crazy problems like that. I just wanted to limit that stuff. Agenda item 4B, hiring, making contracts with Metro. Be careful. I don't want any shuffling money around. Metro should use their services. Maybe their security needs a little backup, but LAPD knows where to go to find bad guys. They'll find a lot at Metro. They can learn quite a bit at Metro, but making contracts, nah. Agenda item 4K, retiring horses. Yes. There should be somebody checking on the retired horses that LAPD uses. There should be we need a livestock report, yearly livestock report from LAPD, horses retired and animals retired, and how many survived in retirement. There should be somebody checking on them. Horses that serve a long time, you know, they rode them around the park for 15 years. Yeah, okay. That's good. I want LAPD to pay for that. I'm on for that. I know they're expensive, like $10,000 or something, at a time for care of horses, but there should be some.
Yeah, I left too, Amy. I'm gonna see if we can find audits. See where audit's at, see if she's still there. She's probably on her way to the commission meeting or the council meeting. Yeah, she's in the city council meeting.
Before you move on, I just noticed we have an illustrious visitor with us here today. Former Councilmember Paul Koretz is here. Let's acknowledge Paul Koretz.
They all deserve to be booed, every last one of them. They all think that they're like so, I don't know. People are tired of all the ignoring of the people. Public safety, maybe this is good. Oh yeah, 16 victims of human trafficking. Is Tara or someone here that could put these? I'll put the agenda items and just pin it for me so I can. 16 is that human trafficking one, so I definitely want that one.
At that point, you need to get immediately.
I'm gonna let you watch audit for a second. I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna leave it on here just for a minute.
And we will move on to the next speaker. The items open for public comment are items
17 is this training system, so I want to tell them to train them better, maybe.
64 and item 65. Again, the items that are open for public comment are items 34 through 38.
Oh, no, 19. Public Safety Committee report relative to an overview of businesses that require police permits for operation, recommendations on police permits in which the regulatory benefits have diminished and no longer seem necessary, and related matters. That sounds good. So it'd be 16 and 19, I think.
Remember the public calling in. When it is your turn to speak, an automated message from Zoom will prompt you to press *6 to unmute yourself.
So 16 and 16 human trafficking, 19 permits, or 20 relative to protocols for emergency response rules and responsibilities on a multifamily. You know what, that one? I think 16 and 20, the fire safety.
Please keep it near to the phone so you know in real time that it's your turn to press
Post her link here.
Ramen.
On another device, please turn down the volume on that device immediately when it's your turn to speak. Between feedback and the time limit, it will cause a great deal of confusion as you continue to listen under other devices. And actually, there is one more announcement if I can have the interpreter to please say this aloud. So, for anybody who requires a Spanish language interpreter,
So if I'm up there and I forget what number they're on, you're not on agenda. I'm doing 16.